All right, today I wanted to talk to you about not using only colors straight out of the tube. In some ways you're not going to be able to because we don't have the secondary colors, as we mentioned in our last session. So by having the two primaries, you're going to have to mix. But if your sky is blue, I guess I would rather that you don't just utilize either ultramarine and phthalo blue. That'd be a place to start. But what I'd like you to do is to figure out some recipes for yourself, make a base tone, and split it. So today's lesson, I wanted to just show you that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to make note of this in my visual journal. The two colors I'm starting with, this was the lemon yellow, or cad light, plus the phthalo blue. Okay, I like the look of that, so I'm actually going to mix more. You may notice that instead of a piece of paper towel, I've actually switched to using a cotton rag. These are old t-shirts. You can find them in a box on top of that yellow flammable cabinet in the painting storage room. So if you'd like to use one of these old t-shirts, you can use that and save on the use of paper towel. You also can reuse these every day rather than throw them out. At the end of my session, I just simply put it in the base of the sink and kind of rinse it out, wring it out really good, and I drape it over the top of my palette. All right, I'm going to start with this as my base tone green. And what I'd like you to do, now that I've mixed up enough of it, is I'd like you to take it and split it. Because we can actually take it and we can alter it. So if I want to make a darker shade, maybe I'll add both blues here to that, a little bit more of that phthalo blue, a little bit more of the ultramarine. I'll even add the complement, maybe some alizarin crimson. I want to make kind of a deep shade here. I could also add black or burnt umber or burnt sienna. This is giving me a really nice forest green. If I like that, I could actually even split that again. I'm only making little amounts because I don't want to waste paint. I'm going to add a little black to that. Remember, I said it's not that you can't use black, but if you use it in conjunction with something else. Sometimes you need to really force the darks to get it, quite a bit darker though. And you're going to only be able to do that with a little bit of black. Now that gives me even a nicer, darker shade. So now I've got two shades. I've got a mid-tone. Let's mix up a tint or two. So we could simply just add it to white and make a tint. This could be a really nice light green. This is kind of a minty look to it. So I might also just split that. And for my next tint, I think I might add some cad yellow to that to get it more, and maybe a little bit of yellow ochre. That'll get it to more of a mid-tone range for me and change the look of that green. So if I go back to my notebook, what I've actually done is I've mixed everything off of this base, okay? All I did was I added, some ultramarine blue and more phthalo blue, and a little bit of alizarin crimson to get this one. So that is the above mix with ultra, more phthalo, and crimson. Then I went and I made this darker shade by adding in more black and some burnt umber, that bluer brown, right? I mixed up a tint by just simply adding the above base to some white. So the titanium white. And then with this guy, we just added some cad yellow and some yellow ochre. The reason I would record these is so you know exactly what to mix up, or what you did use to mix up your tints and shades. The other reason I mentioned doing this is so that you have all these values. So I would really recommend that you have 5 values. We've got 2 midtones here, or a midtone and 2 tints, and then 2 shades. This is 5. That's great. And the one thing that will be great as I transition to actually painting with these, they will all relate to each other. They have the principle of unity through their values, but also through their color, because they're all mixed from the same base. If you go to the paint store, typically they'll start with a base color, and they create their other tints and shades for your paints for your house off of that base color, and then they'll all match. They'll all work together in harmony and unity. So when we go to paint with these, not only do you put the work in to do the mixing, it'll pay dividends now when we actually go to paint, because now I've got all of this to work somewhat quickly. So as I go back to doing some of the trees I was doing yesterday, I can go to this nice dark shade and do that technique using the flat, where I kind of sculpt it, get it sharp, and then I can come in and actually start to paint some of these branches with it if I'd like. I could all build up my dark tones. And then I very quickly can go on to using my lighter values on top of this. I can also just go dip into my pure color now too. You don't ever want to just only use colors straight out of the tube, and that's the reason for today's lesson. I want you to mix some variety for yourself. It'll assure that you use all the values. Remember, values are more important than color. Value trumps color. So you have to make sure that you're using all the values in your piece. This will ensure that you do. And will make your painting all the more unified in the end. Remember to look at your picture, look at where the values are. Value is more important than the color, just that color gets all the credit. Now that I've got all these mixed though, you can see how much faster I can move. If I want to darken something up, I can go to my shades. If I want to go lighten things up, I can go to my tints. And then I can also dip into my pure color and include that too.